Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm Bob DeMarco. Coming up, a Ford Von Temsky Bowie. It's an oldie but a goodie. We'll take a look at that in the state of the collection. A new company called Bad Feather Knives has a really innovative sheathless fixed blade. We'll take a look at that. And then, of course, your favorite blade shapes and why. I realized one of the matrices upon which I collect, that's not the right term, but one of the things I look for is a cool blade shape. That's one of the things I'm drawn to. And so I wanted to kind of get out representation knives of sort of each shape, and boy, did it snowball. So I'm interested to see what your favorite shapes are and then how they are represented. Nick Martino, how's it going, sir? You are not too early. You are right on time. Good to see you, man. Dave, how's it going? Dave has a cool acquisition. Well, one that just showed up, his new rib splitter. Good to see you. Good to have you here and see you, Dave. Yeah. So check out that new pick haul style knife and those 3 pick hauls today. That was a cool shot. Chris Blade Ogre, good to have you. He says hello all. Well, hello to you, sir. Quack, heyo, Quack. I gotta say, I've been bummed out. Caleb, howdy, good to have you here. We got bad news all around us up north, across in Europe, and I gotta say, I'm so happy to be here and have my mind off of that stuff. Michael Morgan, good to have you here, Michael Morgan. Mr. Fileto, how's it going? Mr. Fileto won the swing guard, and not wing guard, but the swing guard lockback lion steel collector knives prototype last week. Speaking of winning things, we're going to do some of that this week. I realized I have a little swag pack that was donated to the channel for the birthday bash that I never gave away. D-Bass, good to have you here, sir. Don't mean to ignore you, of course. Mike Flamian, good to have you here. You have a great EDC. I think he was carrying his Randall number 14 today, I think. Hag 90, good to have you here. Hope I'm not too late. You are not too late. And Byron, great to see you too. I was just talking about, and Nick EDC here. Always a pleasure, that owl. Howdy, all my lovely fellow knife addicts. So as I was saying, we're going to do 2 giveaways today. I'm feeling just impromptu generosity, just oozing from my being. And one of those things that's oozing, I'll show it to you right now, and then we'll get back to it later. But this is a little swag pack. You like that term? Put together by, these are 2. I think, I can't remember who sent me these. River's Edge Cutlery. Here's a patch with the Velcro backing. And also a little Band-Aid dispenser from River's Edge Cutlery. And all tidily packaged in this great Three Rivers Manufacturing mug. 9198 David, good to see you here, sir. Finally, hello all, he says. It's finally Thursday night. So that's one of the giveaways. This will be the first one we do. And then when we give this one away, I will show what the next giveaway is. K Mason. Oh, and it's a very easy way to do this, by the way. I will show you. K Mason, great to have you here. Sorry to interrupt myself in greeting you. Blade Stuff. Great name, Blade Stuff. Get right to the point with that. Hello, Bob, Jim, and fellow knife lovers. May I please remind everyone who has thus far commented to stab that like button. Just use your favorite knife, line up your mouse, and then just with the tip, just the tip, you want to like the show. If you're here, just like the show, and then you can dip if you have to. But I urge you to stay, because not only are we giving away a swag pack from which you can drink your magical morning brown wake up liquid, but also you can mend your wounds, and you can remember one of the best knife stores in Ohio on your patch, and then on your jacket, and then we'll show you this other cool thing that we're giving away. All right. So first up this week, as always, is the pocket check. Now, I was wondering this morning, poke it for fun, says K Mason. Hey, man, for nothing is good unless you play with it. I think that was Parliament. Hag 90, poke the button, he says. Oh, boy. Okay, so I wonder sometimes when I wake up on Thursday, I'm like, I know it's Thursday Night Knives, and I'm going to be showing up. This morning, I was like, how much does that have to do with what I choose? And I realized not much, because you see, I realized that I show kind of some of the same stuff over and over. I have a wide variety of knives, and I do cycle through them. But for some reason on Thursdays, I'm drawn back to Rick Hinderer knives. Not a bad thing, of course. Brandon G, good to see you here. Evening, everyone. For some reason, having problems messaging from the iPad. Had to move to the iPhone. Hey, best camera there is. And apparently, I guess the best messenger too. Okay, so today in my front right, I had the DLT exclusive no choil 3.5-inch XM18 Warncliffe by Rick Hinderer Knives out of Shreve, Ohio. Another good thing coming from Ohio. That's right. I love this thing. This was one of the many knives I dropped on the tip that Jared Neve fixed and put a nice edge on. And hey, James, good to see you. I like that quadruple shot you posted this week of your drool-worthy knives. Always a pleasure to see you, James. So I had this, and I love JG10. You can say all you want, especially on an XM18. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Because when I fell in love with the XM18, I was watching Randy Johnson's videos, and he had a 3-inch Warncliffe just like this. And I thought it was so cool, except his had the choil. His had the choil. I have extra cutting edge. Well, I guess I do anyway, because it's a 3.5. All right. So XM18, awesome as usual. I also incidentally had this on me. I've been carrying this so much, thanks to Dave. This is the Kubi Vagrant by Max Chuk, and donated to me and the channel by Dave, this Old Sword Blade Reviews. I'm fostering this eventually to move it on, much wiser in the ways of the world. Kep McNussar, good to see you here. Good evening, Bob, Jim, and Junkies. Evening, Kep Mc. So I did have this on me. Jade, I love Jade. Yes, I know, Nick. I'm preaching to the choir. I do know that about you. Buddha Flash, good to see you here, sir. Buddha Flash, another martial artist. Nick Martino says, and a warning. Oh my God, I need one. Yes, I would agree. I do must say though, and I say this every time, but hey, maybe you're new. Hey, Blade Hobby, good to see you. I know you're not new. Good to have you here. Look at this. Here's the 24 Warncliffe, and then here's the 18 Warncliffe no choil. Now I think here I'm gonna hold it up a little bit closer to the camera, but I think you can see that the XM24 is just cooler looking. I mean, am I right about that? The Warncliffe blade. Now the one on top. Hey Dan, good to have Dan Satermo with us. Hello everyone, he says. The one on top, of course, is awesome, and you got more cutting edge. But I do think that hey JN, good to have JN with us. I do think that the Warncliffe looks better. I know. Oh, looks better, Bob. Looks better with the finger choil. And also, incidentally, I think it functions better because you clear that thumb stud / blade stop. If you notice here, there's the if you notice here that the end of the edge, if you're sharpening with a stone, clears the blade stop. Here, the end of the edge does not clear the blade stop. So I mean, I guess unless you approach it at a slightly oblique angle. But the only reason I'm showing the 24 is out of superficiality. I just think the 24 looks better. This is also happens to be in the top 3 of my absolute favorite folding knives in my collection. So I just wanted to take it out and show it off. All right. Lastly, today at 3:00 in the waistband was my JB Knives ditch pick. You're familiar with this. I show this one a lot. Because I carry it a lot. It's very light, very thin, and wicked handy. Look at this. It's a handy blade. It is set up for that sort of Pikal style of fighting, Libra fighting. I think JB Knife and Tool has done a lot of knives for Libra fighting, and that's the spirit behind this. This one, of course, I opted for the front edge to be edged as well. I do love their logo, that star with the, hang on, it's upside down, that star with the JB, and they're proud Texans, and I just think that star looks cool, and it's evocative of Texas. So this is what I was carrying today. What were you guys carrying? Let me know. Drop it down in the comments. I want to find out so that I have something else I can I can lust after. Interesting, the grind and grind height is different between those two warnings. Yes. Yeah, on the 24, it comes up higher, relatively speaking. Well, yeah, it does. It does. And it actually it does feel a little bit thinner. Just a little bit thinner, even though it's bigger and fatter. It's also wider and has more space to thin out. This is an amazing knife. I hope they do that. Hope that they do the Warncliffe 24 with the Triway, and then maybe I'll drop money for another Hinderer. I haven't been into doing that recently, though. I would like to get another one. Is concealed carry legal in Virginia? Says Hag90. Hag, mind your own business. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, in Virginia, so technically you could see the handle, but no, in Virginia, you're allowed to carry a very large and intimidating knife as long as it's visible on your hip. But I live in a part of Virginia that just would not tolerate such a thing. And so it's the intolerant part of Virginia. So though I would love to carry a big knife on my hip, I do have to put it in my waistband. But to your point, I do make sure that that it is possible to be seen. JN says, how laid back is that edge? Well, it's funny that you say that. It's not well, it's laid back quite far, but that's because it's a 16th of an inch thin. This is like cheap steak knife thin. But it's very robust the way they heat treat this. If you watch the interview with these guys, with Brian, they pound these their ditch lines are all of their models except at this very thin steel. So that's why it looks laid back so far. It's almost a Scandi ground edge, but then there is a secondary edge, not Scandi ground, but it's almost zero ground. And then there's a final little edge, relief edge, if you will. So it's really sharp, and a lot of that is due to the thinness. Scott N, good to have you here. Hello, all in Cosi for me. Very nice choice. Very nice choice. Over the past year and a half now, I've been going through a Chris Reeve Knives renaissance where I'm just loving it. Okay, so I'm thinking we start. Okay, all right, let's do this. So Best Tech Costa today, newly minted in G10, 154 cm by Kambu. Very nice. Oh, yes, that's that beautiful little swirly one. His designs are so cool. And you also got the Preta too, didn't you? That might be on my list of things to borrow from you. Speaking of which, hello, Hero Sticks. Great to have you here. I just sent him back the ultimate and an ultimate box of loaners. That was awesome. Thank you, man. Finch Cimarron, love that little knife, and a little Rough Rider cotton sampler. That is funny you should mention that. I was just thumbing my little cotton sampler like a worry stone. Holt Haptic today. Oh, we have an aristocrat with us. Clock, nice choice, man. I do like that Holt Haptic. Buddha Flash says, carried my Kevin Foster swordfish today. I don't know that one. I'm going to have to look up the Kevin Foster, but the fact that it's the Kevin Foster, it sounds like it's a custom, and I think I'm missing out. Mike Oxlong, good to have you here, Mike Oxlong. What's up, guys? Got my mini grip with the Advanced Weapons Technology. I think that's what that stands for. Scales in the pocket today. I used those scales to rescue my mini grip. I always loved the 154 cm blade on my mini grip, but the handles were just untenable. I don't have big hands, and it felt small, and it was also very light. And as soon as I got those slightly longer and boxier aluminum scales, it changed that whole knife. I love that thing. Nice choice. That's my long way of saying nice choice. Michael Morgan, Williamson Chibs liner lock in 14C28. Oh, I know which one. I was just green and black G10. I was just looking at that one in the Smoky Mountain Knife Works catalog that comes in the mail. It's like my favorite thing that comes in the mail besides actual knives. Oh my God, Bob, did you see the Jade? No. Jade LV. Oh, yes, I did. On Thomas's on Engelson's page, I think, is what you're talking about, right? The aftermarket jade scales, or is this part of the new release that was up a couple days ago? Caleb says, today I have the Beg Steelcraft Bodega and the Essie Azula. That's a nice blend of super designy and refined and very simple and utilitarian. That Azula. K Mason says, carrying the Spyderco Canis this week. Why haven't I gotten one of those? I think I know why. I have, because I'm cheap. No, I'm just kidding. Haven't given it much time before. Really liking the diamond cross section in the middle. That blade, okay, looks really, really compelling to me. And also, Edwin has been showing off. He's got a Emerson prototype when he was doing that knife for the gentleman whose name I forget who designed the Canis. But I think the reason I didn't jump immediately on the Spyderco, or haven't yet on the Spyderco Canis, is that the handle looks very ergonomically rigid. In other words, like, it doesn't look like there are too many options, and I need options. I think that was just an excuse. Also, it looks like it's carbon fiber, but all of that can be remedied, and I think I need to get that knife. Carried my Prometheus design Strider SMF. Prometheus design. Oh yeah. With the does that have the octopus on it? And Protect Strider SNG today. Okay. 9198 David. I don't mean to offend, but you are breaking a cardinal rule here. I mean, at least they weren't both SMFs. At least they weren't both actual Striders. Prometheus design strap. Here's the problem. Same overall profile. But since one of them is automatic, I think that's a big enough difference. I'm gonna let that slide. But really nice carry. Hag90 says, I'm a big fan of PD1 Micro Melt. Oh, by Carpenter. PD1 Micro Melt. Is that? Oh no, that's BD1. Oh, I don't know that Micro Melt. I've heard of that, but I don't know it. Blade Stuff XM18 3.5-inch swedged spear for me today. Very, very nice. Hey, 9198 David with the two Striders. One other thing, sir. One thing that could help your cause is if the handle styles are just a little bit different. But I don't know. You might have to send me one of those just to give yourself some variety, because I don't know. That doesn't seem healthy. JN, nothing new or interesting for me today. Okay, so that means he's got his native chief in S90V. He's got his Eldris, and I think he's got a shaman in Rex 45. Was that what you were carrying? I mean, did I just nail it? Kane A says, I don't mean to say, oh, you're so predictable, but you're a man who sticks to some of the classics. I'm wondering if that's what you were carrying. Now I got to know. Kane A says, evening, everyone. Well, good to have you here, Kane A. Crewwear PM2 and Oz Roosevelt for me. Another aristocrat. I love that Oz Roosevelt. Of course, it was loaned out to me, but man, what a fine knife. And really, on paper, it looks good. But that's a knife that I needed to experience to really, really, go crazy over. That's kind of how it was for me when I finally experienced the Koenig Arius, and when I finally experienced the Holt. I'll come back to it. It doesn't matter. But some knives you just have to feel in hand. The Skaha was like that. I felt that in hand, and I was like, I do not like the way it looks, but I really like the way it feels, and it looks better in person. Some people are like that. Brandon G says, carrying Urban EDC F5.5. Very nice. And David Mary, EDC Chef, I have on loan. Very interesting that you have that. EDC Chef. We'll bookmark that. For now, let's get started on this little swag giveaway, shall we? Today I carried my new blacked out Spyderco Yo Jumbo. Very nice choice. 640, love it. And my Civivi Keen Natter. Nice carry, Blade Hobby. Okay, so this is what we're giving away, and all you got to do is throw up a hashtag swag. Hashtag swag. That's right. You heard me say hashtag. Ordinarily, I'd say pound because I'm American. Hashtag, that's British, and that's fine. I love the Brits, but that's not me. That'd be like me saying strawberries, or something like that. So hashtag swag, put that up there, and just put it in the comments, and then in about 5 minutes or so, Jim and I Jim will draw, and we will give this away, and then we will announce another giveaway. It's crazy around here. D-Bass says, carrying my Koenig Arius Style 57 today. Very nice. We talked about that last week. Very nice. It's interesting, man. I want that knife. Was a little jealous when I saw Koenig dropped an Arius in Magna Cut yesterday. Even if I wanted one, they sold out instantly. God, that is hilarious. Almost two on the nose. The Koenig Arius in Magna Cut. Delivered on horseback by, I don't know. You fill it in. I don't know. It's just like too perfect. Of course they sold out. They sold out before it was even conceived of. Hollywood Tacticool, I might be calling on you later for a knife fight, sir. You volunteered last week. Hollywood Tacticool says, carrying the 80-20.5 in spite of disappointing execution, still the most important knife lock innovation since the Buck 110. Also, my Swiss Army knife Spartan. Let's see. I guess the one thing we would have to say is that the frame lock has to go in there somewhere. The liner lock we had since the late 1800s, or early 20th century. That's been around. The frame lock was in there, and also important whether or not you like it. Is important. Thoughts? Wagstaff 613. Good to have you here, Wagstaff. CRKT Compact CEO. Oh, how do you like that? I think that knife looks really nice. Spyderco Little Temperance. Very nice. I have the big Temperance. No, yeah, my brother-in-law gave me a Temperance a couple of years ago. What a fine knife. It just feels good in hand. It's kind of like that knife is like Crocs to me. Like I look at it, I'm like, and then I put it in my hand and I'm like, God, this is so perfect. It is that Temperance is a perfect knife. And it also comes in a perfect leather pouch sheath. I love it. Speaking of that kind of sheath, Ket McNessart, an Eldris, very nice. As per usual, Lion Steel Gitano, very nice. I think you got that in the green micarta, and a Griptilian. You were very unspecific about the size of that Griptilian. I'm curious now. Mr. Fileto was full up today, even had to break out the EDC pouch with the KC exclusive Tanto and Kosi. I'm sorry, Knife Center exclusive and Kosi and ZT 0200. That's right. I saw your picture today and you had the patch, knife lover patch or something like that. I saw that 0200 and I have that knife. My brother gave it to me a long time ago. And man, I love that thing. I was like, I love to see people carrying it because I hate to say it, it's a little too much for me. I just almost never carry it. James Moore says, in pocket, sharp by design chicane, very nice, with Damasteel blade. Oh yeah, I saw that today too. Jeez, I don't spend my whole day on Instagram. I think you saw. I'm sorry, what? I think you saw one recently. Yes, I did see that one recently, and drooled over it. I do like that design, and you don't see that one too much. Gear ND, good to see you. What up, Bob O? Bob O, that's funny. Several people in several epochs in my life have called me Bob O. So where are we time wise? We got about one more minute. Are we, Jim? Are we in any sort of state? Is anyone interested in getting this this TRM mug and this little swag pack sent out to you? Who knows? Maybe I'll throw a little something else in there. Hag90 says, never tried crew wear, 27 entries. All right, we're going to wait another 2 minutes and then we're going to go for it. Never tried. The only crew wear I have happens to be right here. And I think this is the Steingraber Performance Knife Shark. And from what I know, from what I've heard about the steel and experienced with this steel on this grind, I can't imagine a more perfect knife for this steel. Um, this thing is so thin and slicey. Hey, knife junkies. Hey, on the edge 72. Good to see you. I carried my XM24 Mystic Bowie. Very nice, sir. Very, very nice. I love the 24. I love the 24. And like I say all the time, it allows all of the blade shapes, all of the Hinderer blade shapes to express themselves most fully and beautifully. Yes, the aftermarket ones. Gotcha. All right, let's do this. Let's draw. Let's draw for this swag pack. But first, let's read the novel that is Blade Ogre's Carry. This is one of the highlights of my Thursday because he always has 5, sometimes 6 knives, and to me, that warms the cockles of my heart. Okay, Chris says, carrying the ZT 393. Okay, GLCF. So that's gold carbon fiber, I'm assuming, but that doesn't say what blade shape, so I'm unsure. Protec Brend 3, love that thing. That's the large Brend, by the way, because they make 2 different ones. I think the Brend 4 is the small one, which trips me up. Monterey Bay Knives Slayback XL, Hinderer XM 18 recurve, Southern Grind Bad Monkey, and a GEC 73 prototype from Blade Ogre wears suspenders. I know this for sure. 73 prototype from 2008. That is very sweet. Very sweet. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 knives today. And this is interesting. This is how you transport your wealth in times of crisis. You turn it into jewels and gold and or knives, and you carry it around with you. You, sir, had on you the perfect post-apocalyptic trading coffer of all times. Very nicely done, sir. Chris, I love your carry. Don't ever change. Okay, here we go. Swag pack number 1. Let's do this, Jim. I can't remember exactly how we do this, but let's select the winner. Swag. Oh, cycling through. Oh, man, it slows down agonizingly. Byron. Awesome. This is going to Byron Kennedy. Thank you, Byron, not only for coming and checking out the show. He is also a patron. Thank you for your patronage, sir. You will be sipping your hot morning brown wake-up beverage, or whatever my daughter calls it, out of this very soon. I will put this in the mail mañana por la mañana. Well, at lunch. So that is going over there. And I'm very happy. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Byron Kennedy. All right. Oh, now he's just rubbing it in my face. Because that recurve, that Hinderer recurve, there aren't too many of those out there. I don't know how many runs they've done of it, but I remember when I saw it, I was like, you call that a recurve? That just looks like a sharpening mistake. But then I started to realize the beauty of the subtlety of that recurve. Also, the beauty of the subtlety of the fire tack in general and the recurve. Anyway, Big Perm, good to see you. I bought the Sprint Run Yo Jumbo S90V with carbon fiber. Oh, that sounds awesome. I love the Yo Jumbo. And you know what? Excuse me for belching into a microphone. But right here, Big Perm, I'm hoping that they come out with one of these for the Yo Jumbo, because this is 5x5 combat solutions or something like that. 5x5 combat something. And it does not fit the Yo Jumbo because the contour is totally different. But this is such a great thing to have. And the Yo Jumbo is this Zilla. So, I mean, and they're both, defensive knives. So to have that capability is quite welcome. So I don't know. Let's keep our eyes peeled, shall we? D-Bass says, I really want that new Holt model, the Morpheus. Looks amazing. I don't remember what that looks like, but I do remember seeing Morpheus, probably whilst scrolling mindlessly. Seems Logical says, hey, Bob, today I carried my Spyderco Capara. I did a lot of food prepping the last couple of days, and it is my folder kitchen knife. I've heard that from a lot of people, and when that came out, that was a big. Not only is it a nice, fully flat ground and thin um, blade with a nice belly for rocking, but it also the way the blade is presented to the handle gives you clearance, right? It's got a curved blade, and your knuckles kind of uh, are cleared from the cutting board. Nice choice, sir. Brandon G says, this is a great place to hang out if I find myself with some money burning a hole in my pocket. Find out so many great blades here. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, don't do the math, as I like to say. Don't do the math until you're ready to live an examined life. Don't do the math until you're ready to take a deep dive. Mike Emler, good to see you here. Good to see you here, sir. Artisan Cutlery, Great White. I don't know that one, but since you're here, I just want to say, Mike Emler has invited me onto his live show tomorrow night at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. That's where he is, and I cannot wait. It should be awesome. Mike, and I'm wishing when he brought up when the Caparo was brought up earlier, I was wishing I had my Spidey Chef, because that's my kitchen folder, and Mike Emler turned it not only into a kitchen food utility, but it's also now an assassin's kitchen food utility, because he put a very nice point on it and sharpened the hell out of it. So anyway, check out Mike Emler show tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. On the East Coast, and 7:30 p.m. on the West Coast, and then fill in the blanks in between. Okay, Mountain 8, Central 9. Okay, Mike Flamian said Randall Model 14. What a class act. Not only classy, but something to, what am I trying to say? That is a knife to contend with. Randall Model 14 with CDT and leather handle. CDT, not sure what that is, but the compressed leather handle. Folder is Hoback Quayback with Timascus backspacer and Cave Bear. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm sorry. And Cave Bear pocket clip. I got to check that out. I was thinking for a second you were talking about a different something called the Cave Bear. That's a knife. Neck knife is the Spyderco Arc with Victorinox Cadet for keychain. Very nice. Okay, but this Randall Model 14 with CDT, I'm curious as to what that is. And just, I got to do it, Mike. And I think this is because you mentioned this. Oh, you mentioned that today, but I've had this on my desk just for fun. This is my 16, which reminds me of the 14 because the handle is kind of similar. But if you haven't experienced a Randall knife and you like fixed blade knives, some people just don't care about fixed blade knives. But if you do, it's worth a check out, and it's also worth the $200 to get something similar made by Blackjack, which is made by which the high end Randall type knives are made by Bark River Knives. So all I'm trying to say is the designs are outstanding, no matter who makes them. Basically, Kelly McCann, that's who it is. Thank you, Design the Canis, personal protection expert. It's kind of funny. Well, I'm not going to go there. I believe Micromelt is Carpenter's proprietary version of particle metallurgy. That makes sense. So, I say to Quack. K Mason seems logical. Yeah. Nick, did I say that? Or are you? I don't know. Nick Martino says, today I carried my Protect Godson Desert Warrior M4 Manix 2 White River M1 Caper. I love that. That's cool. And my Olight Warrior Mini. Now this is your what am I going to say? This is kind of a cast. If you follow Nick on Instagram, which you should, he has a cast of characters, and he's also very much into plants, and you'll see his knives around his plants, and you kind of, I've noticed, because one of those knives he got from me, so I feel like that's a great way to it really catches my eye. Wants to everyone, he'll be on a show tomorrow night. Yes, indeed. I'm sorry, I was just reading a private message from Jim, and I guess it's not so private because I read it out loud. Jan says, nah, I don't have a shaman, but the other two you named were in the lineup today. Very nice. The thing I was just saying was that Mike also wanted to reiterate, we will see you all tomorrow night there. That'll be fun. So I want to show off a couple of things. Now, if you tuned into the midweek supplemental, you saw these. But last weekend I was busy with some metal scraps and then some from scratch things. So I just want to show you some of the little knives I've been working on. This one is a little Pikal style knife that I made from a botched attempt at a Warncliffe karambit. Yes, that's true. This was once a Warncliffe karambit that I totally jacked up. Walt Gilbert, good to see you here, sir. I carried the button lock Elementum. Very nice. I do like that. That was on loan for me here for a while. And the Wee Arrakis, a really cool, but I hear incredibly functional design from Elijah Isham. Kevin Moore, good to see the Biggins here. Biggins EDC. Evening knife brothers from different mothers. My knife sisters from different misters. I do like that. Different misters. Knife sisters from different misters. So this is AEBL Gear ND loaded out with the old school SOG seal pup. Very nice. First fixie I ever bought as a youngster. My all-time favorite Benchmade, the 470-1 Emissary, assisted but snaps like a pro. Oh, I know that one. And a little mini Corvid. That thing's cute. The mini Corvid. SOG seal pup. I love that. The seal pup rides in my bag with me every day, all day, every day, and has that's always been my for years. It's been my fixed blade knife that I have in my backpack or my whatever my daily pack is. Oh, I get it. Seems I'm such a dork. Seems Logical says, on the topic of the video, I really like the kukri blade shape. It's such a simple design, but allows it to perform multiple functions and do it well. It's a jack of all trades blade shape. I would agree with you, sir. I happen to be playing with this one right here, right in front of me right now. This, if you are interested in an actually functional EDC kukri that is not weird to carry or too dramatic or too heavy or too bulky. I mean, because the Raja from Cold Steel or the Spartan, which kind of approximates sort of a folding kukri, they're so, this is not a small knife, but it is thin and light and you can really carry this thing, and it's a really great EDC, but it's not going to take up too much room, and it really has that perfect kukri shape. So I'm with you, man. CRKT Compact CEO is pretty much an ideal office knife. Soft steel, but I'm good with Swiss Army knives, so I'm okay with it. Yeah, not only that, but soft steels just, give you a good reason to strop and to sharpen and to dote. When you dote over M390 that you don't use, you're just doting. Dave says, been in touch with Dirk Pinkerton, might have to order his Smilodon in Magnacut. That is a cool knife. The Smilodon looks kind of like a double-edged fixed blade version of this knife. Also, incidentally, traded for a BRK Randall style knife with Dave for this. But the Smilodon is a pretty cool looking, multifaceted, double-edged reverse Tanto / Pikal style self-defense knife. Dirk Pinkerton is kind of an unsung genius. I think he's awesome. Not unsung. He gets a lot of stuff made with a lot of big companies, but he kind of flies. He's not a flashy personality. He kind of just flies under the radar, but is a master at grinding. Man, I love his stuff. My Knife Style, good to have you here, sir. In pocket, Deadlock Model C. In hand, DKD Phantom Swing Guard. DKD. Oh, you mean an automatic, like is that Italian? Are we talking about an Italian Swing Guard automatic? Well, Deadlock Model C, I know you're talking about the Hawk amazing thing that everyone wants, the most coveted out the front of all time. But is that other one an Italian automatic? Nick Martino says Crewware is fantastic. I couldn't agree with you more, sir. At least the one example I have. Check out these other. Here are a couple of other little implements. Look at this little sharp and stabby. And then this was a little shard a little leftover piece of steel, and I turned it into just a little self-defense thing, some jimping and a reverse edge, and carried the old SMF today. Love the SMF. Got my Umnumzan MEFP back from a glass blasting today. Oh, yeah, I saw that. You had that big long. Didn't you have like a 4-part centerfold of that? So you could carry the new one. So that should be new carry for a while. Sorry, Agent Orange Peel, that did not come out well, but it's great to have you here. And I think I saw your picture today, of that close-up of your Umnumzan. Brandon G says, love that mug. I have a badass little Yorkie. Oh, that's cool. Yorkies are cool. I like Yorkies and like little dogs with big personalities. Yorkies and French Bulldogs and Boston Terriers. They're all so funny. Walt Gilbert says, I thought that was a package of cheese and peanut butter crackers. Even better. Those wouldn't have made it because I love those freaking things. Let me show you the last one I worked on. This is a metal version of my G10 knife that I've been showing off lately, the Liberator. Mike Oxlong, good to see you here. Bren 2 is the small one. Bren 2, okay. Another one of my favorites to carry. Okay, so it's the Bren 2 and the Bren 3, but I remember it was gotcha. The Bren 2 has like a 3-inch blade, and the Bren 3 has like a 4-inch blade. I think that's correct, and I think that was my confusion. Index Knives, good to see you here. Balio and the Benchmade Bug Out. Spyderco Paramilitary 3. Should I get I think I should get a Paramilitary 3, maybe a lightweight. Nice carry. Balio. What's the Balio? I feel like that's something I should know. Damn, I'm late, says Chris McNair. Evening, junkies. What did I miss? You missed a giveaway, Chris. You missed a giveaway. That's right. Byron Kennedy is getting this awesome TRM mug and River's Edge cutlery swag. But you're in luck, sir. Oh, you're quite welcome, Byron. You're in luck because we have one more giveaway tonight. I don't know why, but I was gripped with a feeling of generosity today. And the next thing I'm giving away, and the last thing, Blade Hobby says 5x5 does make a wave for the Yo Jumbo. They do? I'm planning on picking one up soon. I know that they just came out with one for the Delica Warncliffe, but I wasn't aware that they did one for the Yo Jumbo. Blade Hobby, you made my night. I'm going to go check that out. Knife Junkie, I've got to get up really early tomorrow. I'm off to bed. I'll see you tomorrow. Mike Emler, I will see you tomorrow, sir. Everyone tune in tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time for Mike Emler's live Crazy Sharp feed. I'm going to be on it, and we're going to have a blast. All right, Mike, have a good night, sir. Michael Morgan, definitely picking up the WMK exclusive artisan, White Mountain Knives exclusive artisan Great White in April, $70. Great White. All right, I got to look up the Great White. I don't know which one that is, but I love that White Mountain Knives exclusive button lock large begletter. That's pretty cool. Capara was designed as a pocket steak knife. Went out for steak the other night to celebrate a victory of my wife's, and I brought my Opinel number 10 that I have sculpted as a chef's knife. I love the chef as a slicer. I found the Capara thicker behind the edge. Oh, interesting. That Capara has a very elegant looking blade shape. I gotta say, I do like the look of that knife. See, cut down tang with leather stacked handle. Interesting. All right, Mike, I'm gonna jot this down and look up examples when it's not antisocial to do so. Cut down tang. I had a very interesting conversation last night that you'll be seeing soon with Dave Ridbaum of Kingdom Armory. He's the guy who designed the stovepipe. But very interesting guy. So look for that in a couple of weeks. Walt Gilbert says, I got my lady the Cold Steel kitchen knife set and gave it to her today. It's pretty impressive for the price at 41% off. Very nice. That's a good man looking out for looking out for his wife and getting her some good cutlery. I just looked up the Artisan Cutlery Great White. Interesting. It's a collab. Oh, I know exactly which one. It's a collab with Gavco. Yeah, he's so cool. I on and off, it just hasn't worked out. He's going to come on the show someday. He's just a cool guy though, and makes really cool knives. Bob, clinch pick or rib splitter? Don't have the clinch pick, though I very much want it. I say rib splitter. And here's why. But clinch pick also looks very cool. Clinch pick, you can buy for a pretty darn good price, like low 100s, and then you get you can also get a trainer, and that's priced well. They're made in China, and if you have a problem with that, then obviously you go for it that way. But Rib Splitter is a small independent maker right here in the States, and Shivworks, which is the company that is responsible for the clinch pick, is it's like a security company. They do a lot of different stuff. So I'm not saying they're some giant multinational company, but this is an independent guy who does a knife drop every Sunday, and you can order custom. I know Dave, this Old Sword Blade Reviews, just got one custom. I would say Rib Splitter. Plus, he's got a number of very interesting designs. This one is the Drog. He's got some cool double-edged pickals, and now he's branching out. He's doing daggers and some other stuff. Molan Labe, what's up, everybody? Well, it's good to have you here, sir. We're just talking knives. You know how it is, man. Hero Stick says, that's a great-looking pickal. Oh yeah. What are you talking about? This one? I just think this guy, the surface treatment is nice. The handle shape is beautiful. The feel is great. The sheath, holy mackerel! This sheath. I mean, this guy could quit the knife game and make sheaths, and he'd be sitting on a mountain, a pile of money. That looks great. He says, Mullen Lobby says, look like a great self-defense weapon. Yes, exactly. Taking advantage of that arcing motion. D-Bass. I think it's time for a Thursday night salute with one of your gorgeous fixed blades. All right. Well, I brought a couple out just for that purpose, and we'll take a nice long look at this one in a minute. And as we mosey on to the giveaway and the discussion of blade shapes, I think we can pepper that in. But this is the Von Temsky Bowie by Svord Knives. Look at this. Look at this beast. This thing is almost more knife than I can handle, but just enough. So this is for you, D-Bass. Thank you, sir. Look at that thing. Look at the heat treat scale on there. And this is a 1/4 inch that comes to a crazy screaming convex edge. Von Temsky, the story, I don't know, I can't remember the full story, but he was like a ranger in New Zealand when New Zealand was being settled, I guess, by Great Britain or the Crown or whatever. I'm sorry, my history is shite, but I do know that this guy was a swashbuckler and a badass, and he had a crew of them with him, and he had them all. He made these for all of his men, basically. And I'm sure they only did wholesome things with them. D-Bass, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that, sir. 56 watching and 26 likes. That means 30 people are just simmering with bitter resentment. When is this guy going to stop bloviating? And so do it. Just do it. Just do it. It doesn't cost anything. Just hit the like button. I swear I will share in the riches. Wagstaff 613 says Warncliffe Karambit makes me want a trailing point pizza wheel. That's pretty good. Yeah. It was, you know what? You know why I botched that one up? It wasn't meant to be. It was like an aberration. So yeah, I think you're right. Deadpool Lee, good to see you here, sir. Really liking the mini Adamas. My wife got me the pocket clip. Not so much. Interesting. I just recently, I was looking at Gideon's Tactical's video on the large Adamas, and I was like, I had a buddy who had an Adamas, and I liked it, but it was a little too big and square for me. But now that they're contouring it, I was like, hmm. I love Shane Siebert. I love his designs. I'd love to. Someone has been posting a couple of his fixed blades for sale on blade forums, and it's been a lot to try and avoid to buy them. But very great choice. It's good to hear that the mini Adamas is just as good. And yeah, I might have to get that large Adamas somehow, by hook or by crook. LOL, the Kukri might be the most useful blade shape next to a Warney. All right, so I already showed you my favorite Warncliffe shape, that the XM24, and I've shown you my favorite folding Kukri. But the question is, which is my favorite folding Bowie? And if I don't have it, I'm going to freak out. All right, you know what? It doesn't matter. We're talking blade shapes. Here's another cool blade shape. Walt Gilbert says, I love the spear point and Warncliffe sheep's foot blade shapes in combination. How do you mean? Oh, I know what you mean. I think I know exactly what you mean. You mean a bellied Warncliffe, I think. And a sheep's foot blade and a combination. So what do you think about the crisp blade? This is a knife that I absolutely love. Well, the knife itself I don't carry much, but a blade shape I love. Tungsten Curbide, good to see you here. I definitely like Warncliffe and drop points. Okay, so we're talking about usefulness then, because there are few knives more useful than the Warncliffe for sure, especially for the kind of utility cuts that most of us use knives for. Most of us are not. Now, incidentally, most Chris's terminate at the tip with a downward hook. So actually, this would make a pretty decent knife for some utility chores anyway. My knife style, good to see you here. The DKT Phantom Swing Guard is an older American-made automatic Italian-inspired design. Ooh, that's awesome, man. Quite large, has dual springs powering it, and a coil and a leaf spring. Huh. How does one acquire one of these DKT Phantom swing guards? My brother and I both talk about how the coolest like Italian style switchblades are the ones with the swing guards. Tungsten says, I have the LMAX PM2 and the M4 Sasquatch. Both are sick. Very nice. You brought out the Sasquatch. I had out the Shark before. He grinds them great. The 5x5 wave is sick. I have one on my Yo Jimbo too. Yes, I do too. And we just learned that they're making them for Yo Jumbo. So that is excellent news. Yoda Doug's tool collecting channel. Good to have you here, Yoda Doug. Good evening, knife junkies, and everyone else. Good evening to you, sir. What other blade shapes? I mean, I don't want this to be a cold steel show, but let's be honest about their proclivity for making interesting blade shapes. Blame Dexter, good to see you and your frightening avatar, sir. Recon 035 Tanto. Oh, that's a nice. I need to experience one of these Recons. One of those autos is my carry, and we haven't done pocket checks yet. Yep. Hey, pepper it in. And Tanto is my favorite blade shape because it looks cool. I appreciate your candor, sir. And I appreciate your superficiality. That's how I operate. Like, okay, what do you call this? What do you call this? Is that a Tanto? Or is that a reverse Tanto? I don't know. Or is that a recurve Warncliffe? What the hell is this? Let me know. But I will tell you one thing is for sure. It is not a reverse Tanto. Hero Stick says, Bob, what do you think about the trend we are seeing with collectors becoming knife makers? Well, I mean, I've talked to a lot of them on the show. I think it's yielding a lot of very interesting knives because knife collectors, that doesn't mean just because you collect knives, you know what to look for, that you're going to design a good knife. But so far in what I've seen, knife collectors have a really good idea of what they like. So, and that translates pretty well into what a lot of people like on the whole. And so I think so far we've seen a lot of really great knives being produced. But does that mean that each person who makes a knife creates an enduring knife company that goes on into the future and is our future of knives. I don't know about that, but I totally understand the compulsion to have something made. I mean, I've been noodling with stuff forever, and the idea of having something professionally made is very, very compelling. So, um, I think that there is potential for things to not go well, but I think so far we've seen people really take savvy steps towards having these things made, creating partnerships, and so I think it's cool, and but I think there's potential for you know for someone to make a for someone to not really be a good designer and make a bunk knife. Haven't seen that yet though. Dan Satermo says, "Hey Bob, I used my Beglighter XL button lock today. Dan, you're the reason I don't have one because I went on to White Mountain Knives yesterday. I was like, let me just get one of these. I was like, oh, sold out. Oh, of course. I only had like 5 weeks to get one or however long. Mika at Black Bear Custom Kydex does amazing work. Now, are you suggesting that Mika at Black Bear Customs did this? Or are you just saying that? I don't. I'm curious because this is really pro. K Mason says, "Is DCA involved with Svord, or am I thinking wrongly? DCA. I don't know who DCA is. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Svord is Swedish, right? I think they're a Swedish company, but I'm not sure what DCA is." D-Bass says, "Bob, you definitely lived up to a salute with that gorgeous fixed blade. Impressive. Why, thank you, sir. I'm glad it is you who got that salute. Indeed." So any thoughts on the Chris blade? My first Benchmade was a Sibbert Bushcrafter. Very nice. Yeah, his stuff is just so cool. He's yeah, everything's so refined, and then you look at the price, or for me, I'm like, maybe I can. No. Professor Edie, his pocket rocket Warncliffe, by the way, I think was so cool. Was it the pocket rocket? It was one of those. Professor EDC says, Bob, Jim, respectable knife junkies. Hope everyone is having a great time and doing well. Just finishing an interview. So what's up? Not much, man. It's so great to have you here. We're just hanging out, chatting knives. What's your favorite blade shape? Let us know and why. D-Real, what is good in the knife hood? My sharp brothers and sisters. Good to see you here, D-Real. What's good in the knife neighborhood is this right here. And this is a Pikal style and also one of my favorite shapes. But I got to say, I do like the double edge, but I prefer a Pikal style knife in true Pikal. And a favorite blade shape, perhaps it is a hawkbill, and I do love hawkbills. But what do you think of this? What do you think of the S curve blade? First made famous and invented by Spyderco with the civilian, and then the matriarch and such. But I gotta say, Cold Steel did it better. They picked it up with the Black Talon 2 because they did an S-shaped blade a little bit earlier. One of their premium bolstered releases from the early 2000s or late 90s. And then they came back with it years later, I think in 2010 with this one. And the Black Talon, it does it better because right here, so you have the belly, you have the recurve, and then you have the hawkbill. And right here on the civilian has the same basic cutting edge, though it's less extreme in terms of this curve. Also, it's very thin on that knife, like real thin. Like you wouldn't want to use it to cut cardboard and to open up boxes. Very fragile. It was meant just for yawning open skin on attackers when you're just going bonkers. Nick Martino says, LOL, I see you gave away that awesome custom Mike Latham Bob knife, Bob. Man, whoever got that is a lucky person. That was a cool knife. Yeah, that was Mr. Fileto. Yeah. I should get back in touch with Mike and let him know I finally gave that thing away. I just didn't know that was part of the deal. Chris says, obviously the Bowie and clip point is my favorite blade shape by far. After that, it would be the Wharncliffe and then the Harpoon Spanto, like on the Eclipse and the ZT-0930 or 9393. The Harpoon thing bothers me. Almost always, I'm not into the Harpoon. It seems extraneous. And I know people say, no, it's the Swedge. It's just kind of an add-on. And that allows you more, maybe a thinner geometry, maybe because it's essentially going fully flat ground to the Swedge and then adding the Swedge on top, and that aids in piercing. But something about it looks gratuitous. JN says, no discussion like this would be complete if some weirdo didn't sing the praises of the Razel, specifically the CRKT folding Razel, not the compact or the Razzlecliffe, though. Okay, if no one else is going to do it, I'll say, you call it a drunken mistake. You call it a drunk mistake. What? What are you talking about? Unfortunately, I am not drunk. No, I shouldn't say that. Big Perm says modified hawkbill. Okay. So what? Are you saying, Big Perm, are you saying this is a modified hawkbill or that's your favorite blade shape? Because if it is, modified how? Because I could almost see this as a modified hawkbill. You know, really it is true. You can put modified in front of most things and make it work, because you cannot have a name for every single blade shape. Too many great blade shapes to have a favorite, though I'm a sucker for the classic Bowie. I could not agree with you more. A number of people have mentioned the drop point. I think the drop point and the Bowie are pretty much similar in terms of the cutting edge. I think the spine obviously is different, and you might want a drop point for batoning or something like that. But drop points I usually kind of consider sort of a little boring. And then I'll look through my collection. I'll say, but that's drop point, and I love that. But that's drop point. I love that. And I'm going to show you a really, really sweet drop point. But first, Buddha Flash. I personally like the Filipino barong. Years ago, Spyderco put out a folding barong, Ed Shemp design. I wish they would re-release. Hard to find on the secondary. I love the handle shape of that. Hang on. I got to do this. This is for you, sir. So I love the shape of that Ed Shemp Spyderco barong handle. I think Ed Shemp does some really incredibly awkward designs. This is one of them. I love this knife. Believe me, it's got sentimental value. It's a great thin slicer. Feels awesome in hand, but it's an ugly duckling. And same with his Bowie. Fugly duckling is his Bowie. But he's Ed Shemp, and he designs some pretty well-respected knives. And that barong, I dug that too. And this is my barong. And this one was bring back from an American GI, World War II. It's very sharp. And this thing was not for hanging on the wall, that's for sure. The barong is such a great blade shape. And if you want to see something cool, go to This Old Sword Blade Reviews channel on YouTube, and you can see him, that's Dave, 12 years ago, chopping tatami mats. I think he does it with a Sansabar Filipino sword, and I believe he does it with a barong, and he's a badass. Dave is a badass. Lonely Stacker 777 says, I was gonna say, what makes a collector making a knife any better? Because the collector knows what to look for, and the collector has refined taste, and I don't necessarily, I'm not equating refined with good, but I'm saying refined. I've been collecting for years. I have refined my taste. They might not be refined taste. I might not like refined knives, but I have refined my own taste to a lane, we'll call it. So I think that when a collector designs a knife, they are designing it within their lane. And let's be honest, a lot of us are in the same lane. Or if we're not in the same lane, we're overlapping. I know I like a lot of extra stuff that a lot of people, collectors, aren't into, like big fixed blades and swords and machetes and tomahawks and ice picks and stuff. But I have a huge part of me that loves folders and EDC knives and stuff like that. So when I see a collector making a really refined design from a collector's point of view, I can appreciate it. Doesn't mean I'm going to get the knife, but I can appreciate it. And I don't know, see the value, because it's a nerd going all out. And I love that. Blade Hobby says, my favorite blade shape is the Bowie, like the one from the Emerson Appalachian, and a Tanto like the one on the ZT 0620. Love the 0620. That's kind of a clip point Tanto. That Appalachian has been on loan for an extended period of time. I'm waiting for the person who has had it to send it back. I'm about to get in the car and drive there. Hildolfer Dragatrotin. Okay, I'm thinking that last name, Hildolfer, that's a cool name. Hildolfer Dragatrotin. Two of the best self-defense and survival pocket swords are the Raja 2 and the Counterpoint XL. I agree with you. I was just, Raja 2 is awesome. But the Counterpoint I just had out the other night, and with serrations, and that thing is wicked. Now, that used to be Hildolfer. That used to be my work. I had that thing stashed in my cabinet at work, just in case. I work at the kind of place that could get shot up. I mean, on the list of places that might get shot up, it's probably up there. So I always figured I certainly can't have a gun there, but no one ever said I couldn't have a 6-inch folding knife there. So I did for a while. And that thing made me feel very, very confident. Hildolfer, one last thing. The first part of your last name is the spelling of this knife model, Draug. And I'm wondering if that is your real name, not that it's any of my business, or if it's a screen name in another language. And I don't know. Fill me in if it's any of my business. Carried my Persian blade ritual today. Oh man, that thing is nuts. Lonely Stacker. That thing is nuts, with the point that goes up to the sky. It's like, how do you stab someone with that? You turn it around and you bird beak them. Gear ND says, I think when we talk about blade shapes, we got to give shout outs to, yes, I agree, for John Grimsmo for making the most polarizing knife of all times on a first run. I don't, I did not pull out a recurve Tanto. I was going to, and then I forgot to, but that was one of the first, the Grimsmo Norseman was one of the very first recurve Tantos I ever remember seeing. And I remember thinking, like I thought the handle was ugly. I thought the blade was cool. I don't know. I had mixed opinions. Now I just think it'd be sweet to have one. But that recurve Tanto, he did kind of, maybe he didn't start it, but that was one of the first things that ever drew my attention to that knife possibility, that blade shape possibility. Quack says, I'd say plain old drop point, but harpoon adds some spice. I'm personally not a fan of straight edges or sheep's foot because I like the versatility of being able to do rolling cuts on a flat surface. Yeah, I hear that. Sometimes when I use the tip of a Wharncliffe, like a delicate Wharncliffe tip, like the very thinly hollow ground, and I don't know, presumably more brittle 20 CV on this. I worry about the tip sometimes, though this one was already broken and rescued. Not so much with the XMs because they're so much fatter behind the edge, but I do see what you mean about a rocking cut. Sometimes, you just want to cut a piece of paracord against your cutting board. Or whatever it is. ADC. Oh, thank you. ADC. DCA. David C. Anderson from Knife Center. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Aberdeen. Nick Martino. Hey, Bob, can you please show your turbo? Why? Funny you should ask. I happen to have it right here. Let me move some here. I'm going to put it up here for a sec. This is in famous dragonfly eye green. Hey, Brent, good to see you here, sir. I like that new hat you got this week. Looking cool. Looking cool. Brent's out there in Texas where it's acceptable and cool to wear a cowboy hat. If I wear one here, Dorcas Malorcas, I'll be called out. And you know what? For good reason. All right, let's see. I want to show you the turbo under the knife cam. Let me get some of these dangerous, sharp things out the way. I love the sound of Kydex. All right, so right here is the turbo. This is a great knife. I love Peter Carey designs. I liked the Rubicon, and then I really liked the other one he did for Spyderco. Can't remember what it was called. But for Monterey Bay Knives, they did a production version of one of his customs, and that is more emblematic to me. This is this is Peter Carey all day long. This is exactly what I think of when I think of his designs. And I am not limiting my capacity in life, but I just am pretty sure I will never own a custom Peter Carey knife. So this one will do until the real thing gets here. And I love the work that Knife Modders did on this. Lindy and Richie just killed this thing. I requested this sort of high voltage green, and then a acid stonewash blade. They without asking put on a wicked edge. It's incredibly sharp. They have to tumble it so it takes the edge off, but they didn't just put on some little whatever edge. They put a mirror sharp, screaming sharp edge, and then they did this cool, I'm calling it Solar Vista. It looks, if you look close, it kind of looks like the sort of things you see through the Hubble telescope. G-Ball and at the in-laws, good to have you here, G-Ball. Reverse Tanto is just a Warncliffe in disguise. Fight me. Hey, you'll get no fight from me. I don't even accept its existence. Sometimes I will just use the term in a mocking sense, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't even recognize it as a legitimate blade shape. But if I were to, this would be the one I would do it for, because if you turn it like this and then hold it up to the sky and only look at the profile, it looks like a pretty sweet Tanto, I do must say. But, this is among friends, and let's just stick with the fact that it doesn't really exist. It's just something that someone lazy made up because they didn't want to wordsmith. Nick says, looking at my overall collection, seems to have almost every blade shape, but definitely gravitate towards Warnies. Yeah. Yeah, I have in the recent, well, in the past couple of years, I've definitely gravitated towards straight edge. I really do like straight edge. We were talking drop point. This is a beautiful drop point. Some might say spear point. It almost looks like that point is straight down the middle, and the top and the bottom are symmetrical, but they're not. So it's a drop point, and what a great blade shape this is. Quack, I'm in the minority, but Bowies aren't my thing. I like having more steel towards the tip. Interesting. Huh. Okay. How about this Bowie? I said I don't like Bowies. What about this one? There's an awful bit of steel, awful lot of steel towards the front on this because it's such a damn thick knife. This is a 1/4-inch slab of 1095 steel with a swedge that keeps the thickness of the blade almost to the tip. I mean, obviously it thins out the top, but you maintain a thickness, and it's got a bit of weight. And if batoning is your thing, it's not sharp on the swedge. And this thing is awesome. So Quack, if you ever feel like you have to prove that you dislike them or whatever, I highly recommend the Tops Prather War Bowie. It is a Bowie that covers other ground. You might like it. Plus, the coffin-shaped handle is awesome. Professor EDC says, "Oh man, like everyone else, I love most blade shapes. I mean, drunken. Oh. Yep. Gotcha. I meant drunken mistake. Yeah, exactly. No, the edge is supposed to. It's a Tanto, man. The edge is supposed to be down here." D Real says, "Definitely Bowie #1 blade shape. Tanto for EDC task. Guillotine for enemy. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little dramatic, and it's a little French for my taste. But no, I'm just kidding. I love the French. I've never had anything but positive experiences. Used to work in a French restaurant. I went to France a couple of times, and never had anything but positive experience with the French. But yes, I hear you. Guillotine for the enemies. I'm thinking a lot about that these days. It seems like a lot of well, a lot of our enemies aren't taking us seriously. Can't imagine why. 1 minute knife review. Good to see you here, sir. Hello, everybody. He says. I'm assuming you're a he. 1 minute knife review. See, this is what I do all the time, but I got to check you out because it sounds. Oh, I do know you, and you are a man. All right. G-ball at the in-laws. The Bowie blade is what got me into knives as a kid. Check this out. I don't mean to be just a show off, but we're talking about Bowies, and I love Bowies. This is another one my brother gave me. I showed this off last week, I think, but this was probably the first Bowie I fell in love with, this W49 pattern. This one my brother got at a pawn shop, which I love. It adds a little bit of gritty mystique to this knife. Another thing that adds gritty mystique is the fact that the original wood handle was replaced with some anonymous bone material, and whoever had this went to great effort to pound down this quillion, because I tried to pound it back and it ain't going nowhere. So they took great effort to pound that down to get it closer to the finger. So all of these things combine, i.e. the anonymous bone handle, the pounded down quillion, and the provenance coming from a pawn shop, all leads me to believe that this thing had a speckled past. And well, maybe it should be on this wall behind me. I don't know, but because I know all these knives had a speckled past, with one exception. That Bowie we found out is actually a replica, but you can find them all over the place, and people try and sell them as genuine late 19th century knives. Hero Stick says, still very new to the hobby, but are you? That's right. You have awesome knives for being still very new to the hobby. But my eyes and heart seem consistently drawn to the Bowie and sheep's foot design. What do you think of the shark's foot? All right, I talk about this. It's ugly. It's an ugly duckling, but extremely useful. Where the hell did I put it? Extremely useful. Here we go. Here are a couple of knives kind of in that realm. The Max Chichuk, or this one here, the Vagrant, is my favorite, but all three of these have that sort of sheep's footy, though the edges aren't straight. So I know that's a thing, but I don't know. What do you think of that shark's foot? Ugly but useful. Hollywood Tacticool says, these days hawkbills have been my favorite, and for EDC I like daggers for self-defense. Oh yeah, who doesn't love a nice dagger? Okay, so we're looking at these kind of shaped blades. Let's look at this. Let's not forget the Nesmuk. Yes, the Kephart, the Nesmuk Kephart. So this right here is kind of a Wharncliffe. It's kind of a sheep's foot, and it's also kind of our next giveaway item. So tonight, as I mentioned, usually I only do a Patreon giveaway on the third Thursdays of each month, but I don't know. Today I was struck with an overwhelming sense of, I don't know, I feel like giving stuff away. And plus I saw the Three Rivers, the Three Rivers manufacturing mug. And I was like, geez, I was supposed to give that away. And it's sitting there. I have this habit, it seems, of not knowing when I'm supposed to give something away. So I realized they didn't just send me a mug for free. They sent me that mug to give away during the birthday, and it never got given away. So we did that. And now it is this. And this is the Rough Rider folding kitchen knife. It's like a folding Santoku. D-Bass says, is it just me, or are there already way too many new knives and models in 2022 that I really want to buy? I like that last part. It's only February. My bank account is going to be hurting this year. You know what? I've been, man, I think I think I've been more disciplined. I think because I have fewer things coming in, though. Well, not though. So I think I might be saving money for Blade Show, and I don't even know it. But I do hear you, and there. The problem is the knives I must have, like the Project X from Rick Hinderer Knives, whenever that becomes widely available, they're expensive. The ones that I have are expensive, and man, I wish they weren't. KF Boston says, "Good evening, everyone." Well, KF, good to have you here, and you're just in time for our second and final giveaway of the night. This is a cool thing. It is 440A steel. It's a soft steel, but it gets wicked sharp. Todd Carr, how's it going, man? We're giving away this folding Santoku. It's got a very nice for a $15 knife or $20 knife. Micarta handle that's polished and contoured. It's got the RR on the handle there, and it's got on the bolster. It's got a decent lock back. It's got back bolsters and sort of a nicely weighted knife for kitchen kind of stuff. I would imagine this thing would be awesome if you're a camper. Hey, Lindy and Richie, I was just showing off the Dragonfly Eye Green. That's what I call it now, Dragonfly Eye Green. Turbo. It was requested. Nick Martino wanted to see the turbo. This thing's awesome, guys. I love it. Thank you so much again, always. And thank you also for putting such a sweet edge on this thing. Well, all you got to do is hashtag knife, and this Rough Rider folding kitchen knife could be all yours just for hanging out and hashtagging. Am I hashtagging? Walt Gilbert says, I have zero desire for the Norseman, but I can see where others might like it. Well, here's what you do, Walt. You get yourself a Norseman, and then you put it up on Blade Forums and write what the number is, or wherever you sell your knives. And then you get a couple of whatever you like. I know what you mean. It is a polarizing design, and I would imagine you either love it or hate it. I happen to love the blade shape, which allows me to forgive the handle, which to me doesn't look good, but looks like it feels good. So I love the Nesmuk, says Ketmuk Neshart. I'm not surprised. G-Ball says, that's why I carry two knives. Carry a drop point and a warnie or whatever. Okay, so that's exactly what I do. All right, hang on. It's 11:22 my time. So let's see, 11:27. We'll pick this up. I'm definitely a Poon Typhoon myself. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean the Typhoon. Who can say no to a sharp by design? The Harpoon, it's a taste. No, it's not a taste issue because that makes it sound like good taste or bad taste. It's a preference issue. Now, I do like a sort of. There is a sort of Harpoon on this first generation Eclipse Tanto, but it's softened by that curve there. I am fine with that. That is my idea of a good of that kind of harpoon I like. Cold Steel's American Tantos are a lot more versatile than people give them credit for. Besides the obvious use, they are great for carving. They're basically 4 parts of the blade to carve with. Wait, there's basically 4 parts. The tip, the secondary tip, the front, and then the long. That's a good point. I love Americanized Tantos. Here's one that is near and dear here. Well, this one right here is an extreme. What do I call this? I have a word for this kind of Tanto with that elongated front, but this one is very near and dear to me. It's not easy to find at all these days, but this is a Recon 1 XL with a perfect Americanized Tanto, the big, broad 1.5 inch, hollow ground here, flat ground here, sharp as hell, secondary point, very sharp, and reinforced tip, long, straight. This is such a great knife. And I don't know why Cold Steel, why? This thing was selling like gangbusters, these XL Recons, and then they're just like, we don't like money. We're going to stop making this. G-Ball says, OMKR at the minimum. I usually carry 2, sometimes 3 or 4. OMKR at the minimum. too old for that, man. I don't know what OMK are. That's either government speak or that's kid speak. Knife modders. Oh yeah. No doubt. Just a thing of beauty, man. Man and woman. You girls. Sorry. Now I'm talking to my daughters. You guys, the knife modders do exquisite work. Check them out. And they have been doing this really awesome frag patterning that I almost regretted not getting on this more than I regretted not getting your bark pattern on this. This would have been ideal because of that contour. They do a really cool bark texturing in titanium. Check them out. Knife modders. JN, reverse sheep's cliff worn foot, drop Bowie tan curve toe point. Yes, part serrated with mustard. Yes, delicious. Chris McNair, I'm using a reverse Tanto to open a box as we speak. So, Chris, I like to hear that because they're great. They're actually they're great for recurve. Anything is great for opening a box, but especially a Tanto. Start with that secondary tip, ease it in on the recurve. Hildolfer says, not my given name, it's my heathen name. It roughly translates to Battle Wolf, Lord of Ghosts. That's so cool. Hildolfer. Draga Droten. Battle Wolf. That's cool. I like that. Battle Wolf. I don't know what I'd be. I'll think of it and I'll let you know. But I don't mean to take this lightly. I'm sure you spent a lot of time figuring that out. That's pretty damn cool. And Drog, you might be interested in the rib splitter because it might go with your name too. Patina Turner says, looks, I'll go with the harpoon and Persian, but utility drop point. Okay, so you're saying drop point to wed, Persian to bed. That's what I'm hearing, Patina Turner. Buddha Flash says the Prather is wicked. I love the Prather war Bowie. Todd Carr says I like Bowies and drop points, but I do prefer the point is at or below the center line of the knife. Interesting. Why is that, Todd? Is that I see what you mean by the center point. Oh, and below for utility. Yeah, I got you. I was thinking above. Because sometimes I wonder about trailing points. You do see trailing points on a thrust. You definitely have to kind of come from the outside one way or the other to make effective. Maybe this is the wrong thing because anywhere you hit with this blade, it's going to go in. But I don't know. Trailing points like the CRKT, you definitely need that sort of outside angle. Nick Martino, see, I don't find the shark's foot ugly. Not at all. If that had different scales, it would look like a toy. Yep. Just too much of a blunted tip, I guess. The Rough Rider sous chef, a folding Santoku. Could be yours in, we're past time. All right, so let's do that. Wait, hold it. We got 70 watching and only 28 entries. Maybe the rest of you already have the sous chef. But all right, I'm going to give you one more minute. All you got to do is put hashtag knife in the comments. It could be yours. Probably cost more to send it to you than it costs for me to buy it. Byron Kennedy says, good night, Bob and Jim and all. Got to cut out. Look forward to the MEC. The Crazy Sharp Friday night. Dennis Tyrell on Sunday. Thank you for introducing me to him, Byron, or to showing me, pointing him out to me. I really appreciate that. D-Bass, Bob, are you going to Blade Show this year? Hell yes. Yes, I am. In June. Nick says, that would make a great camping knife. Yes. Which one? Which one? I don't even remember now. The Santoku. Got it. Drop points and spear points for me. Yeah. No Tantos. We know where you stand, but also we do know you like a Persian. Okay, so let's do this. Who wants the folding Santoku? This is the Rough Rider sous chef. This blade is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches. Dad, are you proud? I can count. Dan says, hey, Bob, whatever happened to Mystic Green? Mystic Green. It's not Mystic. Is it? It's not Mystic Green. It's Dragonfly Eye Green. Or Mystic. I don't know. Maybe that was a week where I had bourbon. Walt, thank you, Walt Gilbert, $4.99 super chat. I appreciate it greatly. I'm going to set up a separate direct deposit account for my paycheck specifically for knife related activities and goods. That's a good idea. It's called a slush fund, Walt, and we like to keep it hidden from those we love. And I think in honor of this, in honor of you, Walt, I'm going to do it with this classic. I showed it before, but man, I can't say enough about this knife. It's been on my desk and in my hand all week, and I do adore it. This is the Randall number 16 Special Fighter. Look at this. And yeah, that swedge is sharp. Thank you so much, Walt. I appreciate it greatly, sir. Thank you. Here's to you. That's awesome. Wind in my sails, people. It puts wind in my sails. James says, still no Tantos here, Bob. What about a Sharp by Design Tanto, James? How could you say no? Hit the like button, everybody, says Dan. And I'm going to say it too. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Just do it. The Tucson TS 206 has a pretty great Tanto main blade in 14C28N. Main blade, is this a two-bladed knife? I haven't seen one from Tucson. Nick Martino, definitely Dragonfly Eye Green. All right, let's give this knife away. Let's do this right now. All right, so this is the Rough Rider sous chef, and I remember the name now because Hollywood Tacticool reminded us. And that is a nice polished micarta handle. You got a back lock that's pretty decent. You've got no rock lock and no play left to right. Make a great little camping knife, and all you got to do is put in #knife in the next 10 seconds. Did I say 10? I meant 5 seconds. All right, Jim, bring it up. Let's do this. All right, who wants this knife? All right, let's do this. On the Edge 72. All right, man. On the Edge 72. This is your knife now. I will box it up and send it along to you, sir. Okay, I'm going to write this down so as I don't forget. But also, people, I need addresses. I need your address. So please email it to me. You can go to the website and see the email address there. Let's see. On the Edge. Awesome. All right. Well done. All right. A couple of things. I showed you the Von Temsky knife, but let me just show it off real quick under the knife cam so you see what we're dealing with. This is the Von Temsky Bowie, as I mentioned. This is a walnut handle. It is beautiful. Beautiful. Very neutral handle. Pretty large. And this thing is heavy. It's definitely blade heavy. Let's see, where's the balance on this knife? Balance on this knife is about 1.5 inches north, 1.5 inches forward of the guard, making it great for swinging at heavy things. And this big thick blade with the convex grind makes it good for that too. Laughing my ass off flashed me twice, right? Oh, congrats. That's funny. Yeah. I saw my name in there a couple of times too. I was like, oh, maybe I'll win this. How convenient for me. Svord. Does anyone have any Svords? They for a while they were making this cool peasant knife. I think they called it. It was a what do you call it? Friction folder. It's kind of cool. But they've been making some cool stuff. They have a Von Temsky small Bowie. They have a dagger. They have a bunch of these kind of roughly hewn, really stout and sturdy knives. I mean, this thing's a full tang with a full guard. I mean, it's just, oh man, it's awesome. So I don't know. They're kind of an unsung. They're from New Zealand. New Zealand, man, another surprising. Whoever thought New Zealand would become like such a fascist state? Sorry if there's anyone there and you disagree with me, but I just hear shocking things from there and from Canada. I can't believe what's going on. But anyway, that's for another time. This Von Temsky Bowie is so awesome. My brother got me this. I say this a lot because I have a very generous and very great brother. But this was 1 year, and I think I was thinking he was getting me a folder, and I got that box and I was like, I don't think this is a folder. I have a machete, but no swords, says Dan. Dan, I'm thinking you need one. I think every house needs one sword. Where is Old Zealand? I want to go back to Old Zealand. I think every house needs a sword. This one right here, this talibang, this Filipino sword, was the sword that was in my house growing up. My dad had it way up high on a shelf in his den. We go, Dad, can we see the sword? Can we see the? Yeah, okay. Pull it down. We get to heft it, and I remember not being able to lift it, and then being able to lift it, and then going out and they kind of locked me out of the house for a month, and I had to come back with a wolf and a moose, and so I did that, and I used that knife. And then he gave it to me. So it's been hanging on this wall ever since. So long and short of it, Dan, is I think you need a sword. I think every house needs one. And a great place to start is a messer, like a short sword, German in origin from the Middle Ages. Every house had a messer. Sometimes you cut your wood with it. Sometimes you killed enemies with it. Sometimes you did other stuff. Let's see. Okay, let's we have Hollywood Tacticool waiting in the wings. Let's bring in Hollywood Tacticool. He wants to show a couple of blade shapes before we do a debate. How's it going, man?
Well, blade shapes. So the Vaquero.
Oh, yes, sir.
Right. And speaking of you were mentioning Chris earlier. I have the Cold Steel Chris, which I like, frankly. I mean, it's over the top, but I like it. This is from Harns.
Oh, yeah.
And see how they gave it a little bit of a point right at the end? It's incredibly useful. Right
there. Yeah. It's almost like a subdued S shape, like
civilian. It's an odd design, but I think it works.
Ooh,
and of course, I mentioned the Nesmuk. There's this is the Revo.
Yeah, that is cool.
I think they call it.
I remember when this one came out. I really liked the look of that one.
Right.
JN has a Yatagan.
Idea of just a big belly. It's kind of the opposite of like a hawkbill. I mean,
JN, hang on one second. Oh, I'm sorry. Not JN. Hollywood Tacticool. I want to tell you, JN is talking. He's got a Yatagan bayonet, and the Yatagan was the main influence of. I always thought it was the. I always thought it was the what do you call it? The Navaja, but the Navaja was the inspiration for the Espada series. This was the Yatagan. Because I heard Lynn Thompson talking about designing this, and he was talking about that the very bold recurve, but also orienting the point right down center line. So even though you have the benefit of this deep recurve, you can still access the point like it's a Bowie or a dagger with that center line. So this is based on the Yatagan, which is kind of cool.
I see. I didn't know that. It's fascinating. Where is that from? Middle East? Is it?
Yeah, I think it's Indian. Someone pipe in. I've seen them. I've seen them in museums. I've seen pictures of them. They're beautiful, kind of short swordy with dual lobed pommels, and they're just really cool.
The Indians have some very bizarre weapons. They have a ribbon sword that's about 2 times the length of a man's body, and it's like a ribbon, and you swing it. I mean, super dangerous. You could easily lop off your own extremities with it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
did you ever see
so here's
Octopussy,
your.
the James Bond?
Oh yeah,
Did you ever see
was it in that?
the James Bond movie Octopussy? The bad guy had
a long time ago. I don't remember it.
He had like this Indian yo-yo that was like 2 circular saws basically, and it was this kind of thing that you can throw out and pull back, and I think it was based on something real.
Well, I believe the yo-yo is a Filipino weapon. Oh, that's where we get our toy from.
That's cool. I don't know. I assumed it was Indian because of that movie.
Yeah, as I understand it, the yo-yo is what Magellan came across. I mean, even though Magellan was speared to death, apparently that's where they came across the yo-yo. No, I don't know if that's a myth, but
Goonie, I agree with you about the kukri for sure. If it's a myth, it doesn't matter. It sounds good.
Yeah. I've been using this. The reason why I mentioned these days I like the Hawkbill is because I realize I'm primarily just urban EDC. I don't go out into the woods. I was supposed to go camping today, but anyway, long story, I didn't go, which would have finally been able to, test out my convex edges and whatnot, right?
Oh,
but the sad fact is 99% of what I do is cut thread and tape. And I realize the Hawkbill works so conveniently because it essentially is pre-pointed down for you so that you don't have to do, some sort of a weird thing with your wrist. It's already right there and you just draw. Right. So I find that. And also someone was mentioning that they like the rolling cuts. Here's another Nesmook. This is the QSP. Oops.
Yeah. That is cool. That was originally an Outdoor Edge design.
Outdoor Edge? You mean the company Outdoor Edge?
Yeah. The cheap company that you get knives from at Walmart. They originally came out with that. They called it the Le Duc because the pommel.
The Le Duc. Like yeah. Oh, I didn't know that's okay. The Le Duc. I didn't realize that's what it was meant to be in Nesmook. There's also the Browse blades. They have that.
The silent soldier.
That finger hole. I mean, what do you call that? I mean, this is more of like a Warncliffe, but that finger hole has a totally different functionality. It gives you so much control over that tip. So it almost makes it a different blade shape in that it has a different functionality,
because of how it orients your hand to the tip.
Yeah, because it gives you almost complete control of the tip, because as we know, the closer you get, which is why like people love forward finger trolls because it allows you to get way more control by putting that hole in the center of the blade to give you control over the center line of the blade.
Yeah.
And when the point is there, I mean, it gives you almost perfect control because you're just barely away from the tip. So, so I'm just going to show you some of those blade shapes. And then yet I'm pretty boring. Pretty much I like a drop point. I think a lot of people were saying that. It's so boring, but my eye goes to a drop point.
That's not a boring drop point. I always say that they're boring, and then I look at my own collection. I'm like, that's a beautiful drop point. Like that, I think maybe, and I'm guilty of this. I think they've gotten an unfair shake as being boring. They're not boring. They're just mature. Speaking of which,
that's a good way of putting it. I like that.
JN piped up to say that the Yatagan is a Turkish blade. Turkish. Thanks, JN. I knew I felt it. I felt I was off. It's
sure, like that word would sound more Turkish. It now makes sense, of course.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I have a janky setup, as you can see. I only work in production. That's all. You hire guys to do this. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. No.
And I'm not going to call in favors.
The cobbler doesn't wear shoes or whatever they said. But
right.
What do you do in production?
Well, these days I'm mostly in animation. I'm working on a documentary right now.
Cool.
Animated. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, you're out there obviously in the land of entertainment, so it's not surprising that you would have such a job, but that's cool. That's interesting. Are you up for a knife fight, sir?
I suppose so. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm always up for a knife fight, I guess. And I
Nick
don't
said,
mean a knife fight. I mean your type of knife fight.
yes, right, of course. Nick says, I don't know. I love all my knives from the $8 ones to the $500 ones.
I agree.
Here,
I
here.
want to chime in on that. Like on my channel, I'm constantly featuring like MTechs and things like that because us knife guys, we poo-poo the stuff. And I'm telling you, some of these budget knives that are under $20, again, short of abuse, they're gonna do most of what we need a knife to do. It's got a sharp edge. And think of today's random no-name stainless steel to somebody 100 years ago would have been like an out of control super steel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and oh God, I just had a brain fart. You were saying something. I was like, oh my gosh.
About affordable, cheap MTech,
no.
maybe?
Oh, MTech. I was gonna say, did you see the new MTech that's like titanium and looks very nicely machined with S35VN, and it's like $115?
I think it came out already a year or two or more ago. And
is that okay?
Yeah, and I just feel like keeping the MTech name may not have worked to their favor. So, I mean, I'm sort of contradicting my own point, but they themselves, MTech themselves, has number of other lines like MTech Extreme, and then like MTech Tactical. So, you know, they have these other sub brands where they have a little bit more production, you know, higher materials and better fit and finish and stuff. Again, I have a series of MTech button knives, button lock knives, which I like button locks the best. And I mean, they were sub $20, and I EDC those because I don't want to lose. You know, I lose knives all the time. I don't know what I do. I think I do too many ninja cartwheels in the parking lot, but I'm always losing knives, and I'm just too afraid of taking my good knives out. You know. Oh, blade shape. I was gonna say my one blade shape that I got a knife purely for blade shape is the Watu.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is about this blade shape. I just love, and I EDC this quite a lot. This is one of the expensive ones I actually do EDC just because the action is fantastic. This sort of blocky-ish handle is actually very ergonomic.
Yeah. It's like a coffin style handle on a Bowie.
It is kind of, but what's funny about this knife is it's coffin style ish. This is sort of triangle ish, Warren Cliffy ish, and whatever little small deviation there is seems to just make it that much better. It's just, to me, this is like just about the most perfect EDC knife for me. Super slicey.
Goonie says Off-Grid and Petrified Fish are doing a kick-ass job with quality materials, ergonomics, and affordability. I would agree on that with that as well. Check this out. This knife is kind of like that blade shape. It's sort of Warren Cliffy.
It is,
you know, but it's got a bit of that upturn at the tip, a little bit more belly at the tip than yours. But yeah, that's kind of interesting on the Watu. This is a Stroop knives.
And you know that pattern on the spine is that goes beyond like a aesthetic thing. Does that mean that it's forged? Or
no, this is not forged. That is aesthetic. That's
it's purely aesthetic.
That's part of the look. But the heat treat scale, he leaves the heat treat scale in there. But yeah, that's sort of rock patterning.
Isn't there something to do with steel that just by hammering it a lot will actually affect its overall performance as well?
Well, that's
beyond its normal spec. Like you can hammer something and the molecules keep getting tighter and tighter. Isn't that right?
Well, that's like work hardening, right? Like train tracks. They don't harden train tracks. They get work hardened from being rolled over with friction and heat and pressure. And I'm wondering if what you're talking about is kind of the same thing, except condensed into the knife paradigm. Very interesting. What Hollywood says about prices and qualities. Yeah,
I was gonna mention the Spyderco Smock as well. I find that knife to be, because it's Spyderco doesn't usually do hollow grinds, and I find that to be very good for whittling. Actually, it really digs into the wood nicely. You know.
Yeah, when they do a hollow grind, it's awesome. Like the Yojimbo, those hollow grinds are so nice. Okay, so funny, we're talking about grinds because that is our knife fight. It's Scandi versus Chisel.
Ooh, oh
yeah.
no. Yeah. A lot, they have similar benefits. That's a good one, because they're actually, ironically, they're very similar.
Yeah, I have
in their benefits, that is.
In their benefits, and almost in what they are.
Yeah.
You know, except one is like, well,
okay. Well, choose. I don't know. Do you want me to choose? You can choose. I don't care. Because either way,
I'll take
I'm
Chisel.
very ambivalent.
I'll take Chisel.
Okay, sure. Do you want me to go first, or?
Sure. I'm not going to say no. Sure.
I'm at a disadvantage because I don't really have an argument. I'll just wing it because it's definitely been dropped on me. Okay, so I'm doing Scandi.
If you want, since I'm dropping this on you and I've had more time to think about it, I can go first.
Well, then you go first.
Okay. All right. Okay.
In that case.
Okay, so I'm going to give myself a minute, and starting now. The chisel ground knife is superior in sharpness and in woodworking capability than any other edge. Now, there are other edges that are acclaimed for or are praised for their woodworking capabilities, but those, let's say the Scandi grind, are actually double what you have on a chisel. If you look at the cross section of a chisel, of course, you have the straight edge coming down, and then you have the other edge coming off at an angle. That creates the sharp edge. When you have something like a Scandi grind, you're basically mirroring that on the other side and doubling the cutting angle. Therefore, with a thinly ground chisel edge, you are sure to get superior cutting and woodworking capabilities. And that was a minute of pure genius. Okay. All right. I'll give you 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, one of the advantages of a chisel grind is that it's the easiest to sharpen, but the Scandi grind, you could say, is the second easiest. But what you gain for the slightly more difficult, having to if you were to field sharpen, is that the Scandi gives you a lot more versatility in what it can do. The chisel grind is a little bit too specialized, while, like you said, the geometry of it gives you less, so there's less there, so they can go through the material. The Scandi, on the other hand, allows you to do, it's more balanced in the different kinds of tasks it can do, as well as its symmetrical profile allows you to have a more controlled cut along the center line of the blade thickness versus the completely asymmetrical of the chisel. I don't know how much time I have anyway.
You're done.
Okay.
That was a great argument. Actually, one of the things that I always kind of talk about, I love chisel ground blades and edges. I mean, I love chisel grinds. But it has to be proper. Like I love Emerson knives and I love chisel grinds, but he puts the chisel on the left hand, on the side for left-handed people, and it's strictly an aesthetic thing. I asked him, and he was very forthright about it. I think the performance is better with the flat side on the left if you're right-handed. all that being said, the thing I always say is that it tracks funny through material. If you're not used to it,
it's
know,
like it's a little bit like knuckleballing.
Yeah. Wait, I don't think I know what that is. I say yeah, but
okay, so the knuckleball pitch is a pitch that's thrown with no spin, so it floats through the
weird.
air.
Okay. Okay.
Same thing as musket and ball versus rifled bullets.
Rifling. Okay.
So they spin. As a result, they're more accurate.
They stabilize.
The musket and ball, they float around in the air, right? And that's the feeling I get on the chisel. I feel like there's no balance, and you can go in too deep and then suddenly back out too deep. Whereas the Scandi, which is what I was trying to say in my argument, the balance, I feel like the material separates more evenly this way, and you don't go. That's, I don't know. That's very subjective, but that's what I feel like.
That's funny. Yeah, well, it depends on how extreme, how fat the blade, what the geometry is, for sure. I mean, like if you take a chisel ground blade and a CQC 7, it's gonna track funny through cardboard because one whole side of the blade is flat and then it's thick and then it's got a steep chisel. But I heard there was a guy who used to be on YouTube, and he used to be a knife maker. He went by CMFTW, continue mission, fuck the world, was his. He was a former Marine, former meth addict who cleaned himself up by starting to make knives, and he was a very brash and interesting dude, and very outspoken. And he made a lot of chisel ground knives, and he made his knives for fighting and self-defense. And his whole thing was it also produces more grievous wounds on a slash or cut in flesh because of that uneven pressure on either side of the blade. So it's going to make it harder to. I don't know if any of that was true, but his thing was, oh well, thank you, hero, appreciate that. His whole thing was, it's more damaging. Now I don't know if that was true, but the way he described it, and he showed it by cutting through leather, made sense, man. You could see how one side was kind of stretched out compared to the other side in a way.
I see, because it's purely just a ramp that's pushing material that way.
Yeah.
And the other one is untouched, so it's just forcing everything in one direction as opposed to on both sides.
Right.
So interesting.
So if your purpose is to cut flesh and be nasty about it, maybe the chisel grind, but
I don't go into the forest. My first when I got back into knives and I made more of a conscious choice, not just let me get that one behind the counter, when I started researching it, was actually the Kershaw Emerson CQC 7. That was my first EDC because I figured nearly all knives, again, cut thread and paper just fine. But what I really need, a knife that I'm going to really need in that kind of a situation, let's say, for example, a self-defense situation, that's when I'm going to have to get more specific.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't talk bad on Kershaw, because they introduced me to so many designers at a time when I never thought that, there are such things as knife designers. That's when I was completely naive. That's when I came across, Emerson, the Wave, and then that's when I started getting into it. And that gave me a great introduction to the concept of looking for specific tasks on knives. And that's what got me going into now I've lost my mind. Knife junkie,
You're nose deep. All right, Hollywood. I gotta draw this to a close, man.
Very good.
I am so happy you came on, though, because there's nothing worse. Well, there are plenty of things worse.
Yeah.
I like to have a debate with you or with other people, but you're particularly good at it. So thanks for joining.
Thanks.
I really appreciate it. My pleasure. See you, Hollywood.
All right, bye.
Oh yeah, this new one. Oh my gosh. I saw the new Finch Roadrunner early this March. It's true. Is my next pickup. Maybe. Oh yeah. Yeah. I want the one in the middle. I love this one because it's evocative of that Switchblade. So cool. Love it. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to leave it there. It's been a pleasure, as always, having you here with us and chit-chatting on the knife game. And, of course, very happy that Hollywood Tacticool was able to show up and fight me. Chisel grinds have a great bite, but good luck controlling it in an EDC roll. Yeah, that's what we're getting at. I agree. I love these long Thursday night lives. All right, guys. Well, Nick, thanks for coming, man, and thank you everyone else. Blade Stuff. I'll take a chisel grind anytime if I'm carving wood for EDC. I'll take the Scandi. I think that's a good way, especially if the chisel is on the correct side for your cutting hand. All right. Well, that does it for me and Jim. Thank you, Jim, for all that you do back there. And thanks all of you for tuning in and watching. I hope you enjoyed this show. Hero did. Thank you, sir, man. I appreciate it. And subscribe. Great show. Thank you, Goonie. It's a pleasure. Thanks for coming, man. And hope you guys liked the giveaways tonight. I was just brimming with that generosity, that the milk of human kindness. See you guys. D-Bass, good to see you. And all the rest of y'all. Gear ND, ciao, Bobbio. Ciao, Gear. Well done, Hollywood. You too, Bobby. Thank you. Thanks, Bob and Jim. All right. That's me until next time saying, until next time, please don't take dull for an answer.